Môre is bewusmakingsdag vir Afrika-pikkewyne. Ja, die oulikste voeltjie. Nee, in die Two Oceans-akwarium by die Waterfront in Kaapstad gaan behoorlik al die dinge stops uittrek, soos die Engels sê, om hierdie dag te vier. En Heather van die Two Oceans-akwarium is hier om met ons te gesels môre en meer te vertel oor hierdie bewusmakingsdag vir Afrika-pikkewyne. Good morning, Heather.
Good morning.
Lovely to have you on the show this morning. Just talk to us about a waddle. You said that it's Waddle Day Saturday. What's a waddle?
Absolutely. Well, if anyone's ever seen a penguin or a picture of a penguin or a video of a penguin, the way they walk kind of looks like a waddle. But this has a lot more meaning to it. So as you said, it is International African Penguin Awareness Day on Saturday. And so to bring awareness to the day and to the plight of the African penguin, which will becoming extinct unless we do something about it in about 12 years' time or so. So we need to take action. And so this is our first step to taking some real action and creating awareness. So we're going to be doing a walk, really, is what a waddle is. It's a walk in different parts of the world and different parts of the country. And as you said, in the Two Oceans-akwarium, we're going to be doing two waddles, one at the Waterfront, the V&A Waterfront, where we'll be starting at the front of the aquarium, and we'll be doing about a 3-kilometer walk through the waterfront and then return to the aquarium. And then the other walk will be in Simonstown from Long Beach, walking to Boulders Beach, where the African penguin, one of the African penguin colonies are, where about 9% of the population in the world actually lives. So that's what the waddle is. It's a walk for awareness, really.
Heather, let's speak about the importance of penguins. How do penguins impact the environment?
Absolutely. So what we do is we actually call the penguins, the ones that we have at the Two Oceans-akwarium, we refer to them as ambassadors for their species, but also for other marine animals. And what we mean here is that they're indicators to other things that happen in the marine world and to other animals. So kind of like a warning sign to different threats and dangers that happen to the marine environment. Unfortunately, often this happens because of human beings and human behavior and the way that we pollute and engage with our marine space and our oceans. And so the African penguin has become, unfortunately, a huge indicator of threats to the marine environment. There are, in the last about 100 years, there's been a major depletion in the African penguin population on a global scale. What's so important about the African penguin is that it is endemic to South Africa and Namibia, which means you only find the African penguin in South Africa and Namibia and nowhere else in the world. And so it's really important that South Africans and Namibians hold these penguins as part of their heritage and part of their culture. And so what we need to do is we need to take action. So at the moment, what we're seeing is that there historically African penguin were kind of hunted in one instance, and then their guano or their poo, which they rely on incredibly importantly for their nesting, because what they do is they use it to protect their nesting. That was also harvested for fuel. And so what happened there is that their guano no longer really exists in these nesting spaces. And so what we have is that these penguins they have no nesting spaces, and so they don't have that kind of protection. So that's one of the problems that we have. Obviously, we don't harvest guano anymore, but it still has impacts today. So what we're looking at now is that we have less than 10,000 penguin pairs or breeding pairs in South Africa and about less than 4,000 in Namibia. And so now they're at a space where if we don't do something about it and if they drop any further, they're not going to have enough breeding pairs to be able to continue their population, which means that they'll be functionally extinct in about 12 to 15 years, which is a terrifying thought when there were so many about 100 years ago.
12 to 15 years, extinction.
Yeah.
That is a horrific reality. But tell us more, how many pairs are there, do you say, in South Africa? Breeding pairs?
There are about 10,000 breeding pairs in South Africa at the moment. That's obviously an estimation, but that's about what we're looking at.
It is scary to think that extinction is so close to the bone. We're seeing it happening before our eyes. Tell me more about especially harvesting of guano, and what are the main threats to the African penguin at this stage?
Yeah, so obviously the guano is no longer a threat, but the effects of that harvesting we are still seeing today. So
Yeah.
we're having to create spaces for them to be able to have safe habitats. The other major problem is that there's a scarcity of food. So what's happening is that we as humans harvest things like anchovies and sardines on a huge scale. And so what they're having to do is that they're having to swim further to try and find more of that kind of food that they also prefer to eat. So that's one of the big problems that we have. And the Not on Our Watch campaign, which started in March this year, one of its focuses is about trying to create awareness around this kind of sort of scarce food sources for the penguins. And so what we're saying is that we'd like to get in touch with the minister to say, please, can you try and put some kind of protections in place to protect the feeding areas around the colonies of the African penguins that exist at the moment. Of course, there have been discussions over time, and there's been a lot of work done in the communities of conservation and the fishers. And so this is we're not saying that there hasn't been work done. There absolutely has been, and it's been incredible. But it's just come to a point, like you said, we've got 12 to 15 years, and then they'll be functionally extinct. So we really do need to take proper action. And this is where the campaign comes in. It's about creating action and awareness around what the threats are. Obviously, other threats are things like climate change, where the rising sea temperatures are a problem because then the fish species and other food sources for the penguins go into other spaces because they need to find better temperatures or what they can live in. And so then the penguins are having to go further to find their food as well and their food sources. There are also predators to penguins, of course. So there are the wild predators like seals, for example. But then there are also predators such as our domestic animals, because what we find in South Africa is that the penguin colonies such as Boulders Beach are so close to urban spaces that we have to find a way where humans and penguins can live together, where we're not creating even more threats to these penguins. So sometimes, unfortunately, domestic animals also find their way into these colonies, and then they also create threats and danger for the penguins. And of course, we also have things like plastic pollution, which is a major issue in our oceans, and oil pollution as well from the different major shipping industries that we see going past our colonies all the time. And so there are multiple threats that these African penguins and other marine animals are experiencing.
Heather, what can we as people do to help save the penguins?
Absolutely. I mean, that is the main question. So obviously with this Not on Our Watch campaign, and you can find out more about it on africanpenguinnotonourwatch.org. So go and have a look there. There's also information on the Two Oceans-akwarium website. And really what we can do, the first thing is come and join us in a waddle. And we're asking people, it's about awareness, right? We're trying to tell people what the problem is and then what they can do to help. And one of the big things is letting people know what the problem is, because something that I've been really surprised about is how few people actually know the urgency that the African penguins are facing. So that's the first thing, is that go and have a look, share on social media, all of these things. You can see it's been really interesting to me. We're internationally looking at the different social media of all the different institutions that are running various waddles around the world. They really are getting involved on their social media, and there's been incredible engagement from the public. So public, get onto your social media spaces, start sharing the information to your friends and family. Obviously, the second thing we really want you to do is come and join a waddle near you. So take your friends and family. It's a walk. It's supposed to be fun. It is about awareness, about a very serious issue, but really we want to bring people together and create a community who care about the marine environment. And so come dress up as a penguin in your black and white outfits, bring some placards that say Save the African Penguin, and there are all kinds of different slogans that we have on these websites that you can go and have a look at and get creative, and then dress in comfortable shoes, and please just come and join us. That's also a major thing. And then the third thing that you can do, get involved. And you can also send an email to the minister to start trying to get action from our local authorities to start creating legislative change for protection. So those are kind of very basic things that you can do to get involved.
We are all going to play a part in this. Thank you very much, Heather. As jy graag 'n rol wil speel, besoek gerus hierdie webtuiste. Is 'n lang woord, africanpenguinnotonourwatch.org. africanpenguinnotonourwatch.org. Thank you very much, Heather Wares from the aquarium in Cape Town. Thank you so much for spending time and working so hard to save our African penguins.
Thank you, and I'll see you on Saturday.
Yes, we'll be waddling. We'll be waddling.